The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me. Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randy Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Derek Chauvin's defense calling a forensic pathologist, Dr. David Fowler, saying that George Floyd's death, officially classified as homicide, was actually undetermined, citing a series of potential causes, including heart disease and drug use.
How did the heart and drugs contribute to the cause of death?
They were significant.
The defense then suggesting that Floyd inhaled carbon monoxide from the tailpipe of the squad car.
There is exposure to a vehicle exhaust, so potentially carbon monoxide poisoning.
On cross-examination, the prosecutors pushing back.
You haven't seen any data or test results that showed Mr. Floyd had a single injury from carbon monoxide. Is that true?
That is correct, because it was never sent to the laboratory for that test.
I asked you whether it was true, sir. Yes or no?
It is true.
And asking the expert about what the officers should have done when Floyd became non-responsive.
Do you feel that Mr. Floyd should have been given immediate emergency attention to try to reverse the cardiac arrest?
As a physician, I would agree.
Are you critical of the fact that he wasn't given immediate emergency care when he went into cardiac arrest?
Yeah, as a physician, I would agree.
And we expect the defense will rest its case today. The judge has already said closing arguments will begin on Monday.
Yes, they rested. Derek Chauvin, big man on the street, wouldn't take the stand. Wouldn't. Coward. I don't think he would last 9 minutes and 29 seconds on the stand. Do you? I just don't see it. I don't see how he could. I don't. So he has chosen to take the fifth, not to testify. The defense rests. Now, in sports, they would call that taking a knee. I don't think that is, I don't think that's okay to say in this particular circumstance. So, you can see why the defense wouldn't want Derek Chauvin on the stand. You can see why, can't you? I mean, the evidence is just, it's visual is what it is. So, closing arguments in that particular case will be on Monday. Yes, I will pay attention to them. There is nothing going on in the court today. The defense rested. Chauvin's not, and so closing arguments will begin on Monday, and then they will give it to the jury or the one juror, as the case may be. So now we're on to the next case. This is like rinse, repeat, isn't it? It's like, shampoo, rinse, repeat. Because now there's another case just 10 miles down the road from where this one just concluded, right? So now we're on to the next. So Kim Potter, who is the police officer who can't tell the difference between a plastic taser on the left side of her utility belt and a Glock on the right side of her utility belt. She can't tell the difference between a piece of metal and a piece of plastic. She just appeared in her court case. She's been charged with second-degree manslaughter in the death of 20-year-old Dante Wright. Now, this is just so unbelievable. Now, just so you know, the charge that she's facing carries a potential sentence of 10 years in prison, okay? 10 years in prison. Now, Dante Wright was 20 years old. 20 years old. So I would say he lost more than 10 years. But that's what she might have to give up. She's 48 years old, so she might, end up in jail till she's 58 years old. And then she can go on, with the rest of her life on a pension or some such thing. But this is unbelievable. So under Minnesota law, second-degree manslaughter applies when someone, quote, creates an unreasonable risk. So I'm guessing we'll need an egg timer because it won't take more than 2 minutes for Fox News to say black people ought to just stop driving because every time they get in a car, they create an unreasonable risk. And we all know it, so why do you keep doing it? I swear to God, Pete Hegseth on the Fox News channel, he was bemoaning today, oh, why couldn't Dante Wright, why couldn't he just comply? I mean, if these black people would just comply, everything would be okay. Are you freaking kidding? Okay, Philando Castile, also same area, same exact geographical area. He complied completely, deader than a doornail, killed in front of a 4-year-old baby and his girlfriend. I don't even know why these Fox News hosts have jobs. I don't even know why people watch them. I don't even understand it.
You can look at that videotape. And we'll have due process. We'll look at this. This woman has been 26 years on the force. She was training a trainee in the process when this happened.
Oh my
Apparently
God.
has an exemplary record, was the head of the police union, was a member of the community, made a really tough call, the wrong call, and tragically someone was killed in that moment.
Well.
That due process is what got her police chief fired, calling for due process. And
can I just interrupt him? What got her police chief fired wasn't a call for due process. It was a call for due process out of one side of his mouth, and out of the other side of his mouth, he said, this was an accident. Before anybody could investigate anything. Don't you get that? And that's what I was saying yesterday and the day before, too. And the reason why I keep bringing it up is because this is what it's going to sound like. Oh, she had to make a tough call, split-second call. Okay. And all we're asking for is due process, accident, due process, accident, due process. It was an accident. Anybody, it could happen to anybody.
very few people are willing to have the conversation we should have, which is Dante Wright should be alive, but if he had complied, he would be alive. Ultimately, there was an arrest ongoing because there was a warrant for his arrest after this traffic stop.
It's a terrible
He decided
situation.
to fight the cop. When you decide to fight the cop, you escalate the situation.
Okay, let's see if that's true, shall we? Let's have a little look-see. I got an awesome video library. As you know, I'm sort of well known for it. Have a little look at an incident that happened, I'll say 2018. Here is a white guy who is going to tase a police officer. Let's see how that turned out.
Body cam video shows Pasco deputy Darren Goodwald just moments after a suspect attacked him with his own taser.
As soon as I grabbed him, it locked both of us up.
The deputy says the struggle started after he pulled over 30-year-old Brian Roquet in Dade City Tuesday.
He jumped out of the vehicle, he looked at me and taunted me to kind of chase him, gave me the, come on, let's go.
The arrest report shows Roquet tried to carjack a woman, failed, and took off once again. Goodwald tackled Roquet when he caught up to him, but when the deputy went to radio for backup, he says Roquet grabbed his taser, stunning them both. The suspect also reportedly tried to take the deputy's gun.
His intent was to do whatever he had to do to avoid being arrested, including killing me.
That's when some good Samaritans stepped in, he says, including a neighbor who jumped on Roquet's back.
I would say to him, thank you. You did me a great service.
Despite briefly fearing for his life, Goodwald calls this the best possible outcome. He's alive, and the suspect is alive to face justice.
That's what happens when you're a white guy and you try to carjack a woman's car. A police officer catches you doing it. You struggle with the police officer, grab his taser, then try to take his gun. The police officer depends on a good Samaritan to break up, and this is the best possible outcome because they're both alive and the suspect will face. Okay. George Floyd is dead for trying to pass a fraudulent or an allegedly phony $20 bill to buy a pack of cigarettes. Dead. Okay. He didn't resist. As you know, George Floyd was sitting outside on the floor, handcuffed for a very long time before they tried to load him into the back of the police car, where he freaked out a little bit. And then they thought, okay, now we have to kill him. Okay, so that happened. And Dante was pulled over in a traffic stop for having an air freshener dangling from his mirror, and the warrant was for a misdemeanor offense as well. So misdemeanors, 20 years old, dead. Nonviolent, allegedly buying a pack of cigarettes with a bad 20, death sentence, death penalty. But grabbing a cop's gun or taser, white guy, fine.